Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His mind.
The Wigan Way podcast is brought to you by Cherry and White Pins, a local Wigan Warriors themed pin badge company with a variety of Wigan ranges. You can get free shipping on all orders when you use the code THEWIGANWAY, that's The Wigan Way, all in capitals, at checkout. Thanks to them for supporting the show.
So, we're back this week, lads. Obviously, was round 18 of Super League. Still on top of the league, only 2 points after the loss this weekend. Before we have a dive into that, let's go see how you're doing. Lewis, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Been a good, nice week. Off for the summer holidays now, so just enjoying it. Going on holiday tomorrow, which is nice. So looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been a good week.
Can't complain. Right, we've not got Matty this week. Alex, you're on here. You've subbed in for him off the bench.
Yeah, I'm in esteemed company. Thanks for having me, lads.
No problem. Thank you for coming on for us.
Looking forward to chatting with some knowledgeable rugby league fans,
Yeah,
and
I don't know much
big fan
about
of the pod.
No one said that before.
No, I'm not just butting you up, I promise. But yeah, looking forward to chatting and doing well. Summer holidays, so looking forward to it.
Yeah. Right. Should we dive into this game straight away?
Do we have to?
Sooner it's done, sooner it's over, innit? As
Go
soon
on.
as we start. Hull FC 24, Wigan 22. 18 points to 4 at half time. A very, very poor start. In a game that we nearly got back in and nearly got us a golden point towards the end of the game. We could have potentially scraped a win, and I think it's fair to say that would have been really, really undeserved. I don't think we deserved to win that game.
100%.
It would have probably been one of the biggest escapes you've seen in the last few seasons. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved us to do that. I'd have loved us to get the 2 points, not deserve it, but get the 2 points, and you can bounce back at Warrington the week after, against Warrington next week. But you know what? It's made the league a little bit more difficult for us now. Still got the game in hand, still 2 points clear. But we talked about it a couple of times, me and you, Lewis, the Lee and Saints game, possibly being able to not play well in one of them and lose one of them. They both look like must-wins now.
The Wire and Lee game now.
Wait, it was Wire Lee and then Saints at Magic.
Saints of Magic. But yeah, I think what this has done is put pressure on that midweek game against Lee on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think in order to make it, we've put ourselves under pressure where we're going to have to win on Friday against Wire, I think. I mean, you should be aiming to win your home games, innit? Well, obviously you go out to win every game, but especially at home, you want to be tough to beat and you want to be getting 2 points at home. And we saw this midweek. Is it Tuesday night we play Lee? Is it or something like that? Yeah. We saw it one as possibly a bit of a tricky one, but if we got the wins against Saints and Wire, I'm kind of saying Saints and Wire really. I think we always assumed we were going to beat Hull. I think as anybody would. And obviously this slip up has meant there's now pressure on those 2 games and Saints at Magic. You're quite right to throw that one in the mix as well, Tom.
And not to make excuses for Wigan, and obviously it's a disappointing loss. A lot of teams do have these sorts of results because you can't win every game. You have such a consistently high level. I think this year it's safe to say that Wigan have been pretty consistent at being the best in terms of the performance levels and the results on the back of it. But I think what you did learn, if you're trying to think positively, obviously of a very poor result, you learn that Wigan are never out of a game, despite how bad you might play. You know, like you talked about it then, Dukes, the end of the game, you almost actually snatched it. And, you know, you can look at statistics, you can look at the performance over the 80 minutes, but the facts are, you know, bounce of a ball goes another way or better luck here and there, you actually walk away with the points. So I think it's trying not to catastrophise, isn't it, and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, we were a missed conversion away from Golden Point, and anything can happen in Golden Point. a lot of players in this probably played the worst game of the season. I don't want to single people out because I don't think there's anyone that can say, I had a decent performance.
I think a lot of people always, I think this is one thing, when you say that, and there's a lot of overreaction. We've always said before, haven't we? We record the podcast a couple of days. We don't record it straight away because if we do have a bad result, it gives us time to not overreact and actually think about stuff and do a bit of reflection. And I think always when there's always seems to be trying to find a scapegoat who's to blame. And I think we've just got to admit, as a team, we weren't there. Completion rate was down. I think you said before, did we finish? Was it in the 60s? Our completion?
Going off the Super League website, which may not be accurate. You know what that's like.
We knew there was a load of errors, though, didn't we? So a completion rate, no one would be surprised if it was in the high 60s, low 70s.
It was 66%.
66.
You don't win rugby league games with that.
I'll just check the errors. Sorry, 16 errors, 32 missed tackles. That is very, very un-Wigan-like.
Yeah, it's not Wigan at all. Like I said before, one of the there was a break where it was a simple drop off to King, what's his name? Viniawa, who just went straight through the middle of us, and you're like, Wigan don't get beat through the middle, we just simple drop offs. That is, it's poor, isn't it? And I think that's it. You can't blame individuals. As a team, the errors, the missed tackles, we weren't there, and it turned into a bit of a bogey ground. We said this last season. I know Matty, when we started recording the podcast, it was a bit similar. It was a shock result, and he said, I don't think it's going to bother us for our goals at the end of the season. He said, because we always lose there. And I think, again, it's a bit of a bogey ground at the minute for us. It's our slip up.
Do you think it's a bit of a, obviously Hull not doing well this year, you can say subconsciously I've maybe looked past them, it's an expected win, but do you think maybe it's just because you've been at such a high level in terms of your performances of late and you've gone into the whole game? Do you think maybe it was just due and it doesn't matter who was on the other end of that field? It was just because you're human beings at the end of the day, those players, they've been experts, in what they've done recently.
It was unbeaten in 10, weren't we, coming into this game?
Unbeaten in 10. We'd lost 2 games all season, including beating Penrith, the Challenge Cup, all that. We'd lost to Saints on Good Friday, we'd lost to Hull KR early on in the season.
Yeah.
And they played really well. We weren't particularly great. And the better team won that day, same way that the better team won today. You look at any sporting franchise, any sporting league in the world, no one goes undefeated. Man City and Liverpool were the best 2 teams for the last 5 years in the Prem, getting ridiculous points totals that no one's ever got before. And they lost games.
It's such a big thing when a team goes invincible.
It's why the Arsenal 2004.
It's because it's a flash in the pan. It's a once in a generational thing. I think you're absolutely spot on, Dukes. I think it's just you weren't at the races. You won't look too much into it internally. Pete won't let that happen again. He won't. He's a stickler for detail. He's going to look at that.
And let's give some credit to Hull. They did play well. They showed, especially in the goal line defence, they showed some desperate moments. I'm thinking of when December catches the crossfield kick, they managed to get him, and there's one where Farriman goes on a bit of a run and he's close and someone grabs his ankles and someone comes over the top. So, Hull beginning of the season probably don't make those efforts. Wigan grab a try, that turns the momentum of the game and it goes a different way. So you do have to give credit to Hull as well. They did, they defended, especially the goal line defence. They were desperate and, they were putting efforts in.
Now, we talk about things that it was very un-Wigan-like, and our defence wasn't on.
No.
We don't regularly concede 4 tries. And if you concede 4 tries, I think it's fair to say you don't deserve to win. I remember reading a statistic that the average was 7 tries in a Super League game. So if you're conceding 4 of them, the chances are you're not going to win a game. There were some very uncharacteristic mistakes. Miski to the first try, dropping just a regulation kick. He'll be kicking himself. Harry Smith with a couple of knock-ons, might have been 3, I think it was. Very unlike him, a lot of handling errors, a lot of poor decisions as well. And I think that can... You just said that, Alex, about what do you think it was... not being on it and not being switched on or whatever. I think there's a little bit down to the adrenaline of it. We lost Field, then we lose Bevan French. Harry Smith's running on adrenaline, basically playing 6 and 7 both sides, but dealing with it. the second injury. Farriman steps in, does a good job. At some point, you're just going to run out of that energy that you have. And I think that was this game. You only got to look back, it was Wakefield last year. We lost 27-26 and the scapegoats were out then. Did we play, it was Magic a couple of weeks after? We got beat by Catalan and everyone was slating our right-hand side defence. And Miski would never play again and King would never play again and Field was never going to play 6. There was 1,000,001 things that were wrong and we ended up going on a 13-game winning streak. I think it's the manner of the loss, losing to Hull FC. As much as it would have been pain to lose to Warrington or Saints and that upsets you, one of the top teams in the league, you can almost deal with a little bit. But to go away to a team that you should beat and put in that poor performance, I think that's what's caused this bit of a disappointment.
There's losses you can take, isn't there? Yeah. There's ways to lose games, and I think it's the performance elements of it. A 66% completion rate, so many errors, 30 odd errors, that you don't want to be losing. If it's a close game and, you know, a superstar of a team steps up with one moment of brilliance, you can take that. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but you can accept it. It's harder to accept this one when it's a poor performance.
Might be a blessing in disguise. It might be the shot in the arm, the wake-up call, the kind of realisation that you're mortal and you're vulnerable and you've got things to work on and you need to keep improving. And you might go on now and do another 13-game unbeaten run. You don't know, but...
We beat Wyatt and we beat Lee and we beat Saints at Magic and people go, would you taken a loss at Hull to win those 3 games? People have probably gone, So, you know, exactly. Like you say, it's all if buts and maybes, isn't it? I don't think it's going to derail that season. It's very good of you, Dukes. You're right to point out last season. We did have these, like you say, the Magic weekend against Catalan, Wakefield away, Hull away again. We had them last season and we went on and became champions. So,
and in both seasons, we've probably lost a couple of games that we didn't deserve to lose. I think we've won a couple where we didn't deserve to win. This is one that we deserve to lose.
Yeah.
And that's why it feels okay. I'm all right with it. I'm disappointed, but I'm okay with it.
And you almost didn't lose. You almost won.
Yeah.
You almost won. And, if Harry Smith was kicking those goals, maybe you would have won it. Who knows?
Every time, no one can win, can they? Every time Smith kicks and misses one, Kieran should be kicking. And every time Kieran kicks and misses one, why has Harry been taken off the tee? So I don't think he can ever win that one. Positive, I thought Zach Eckersley was very good again at fullback. That is one thing. I thought he was a big thing when we did get back in it, that last 10 minutes. He looked quite disrupted, didn't he? Especially winning the ball. He's bigger for a fullback, isn't he? 6 foot odd. He's a big fullback. He's tall,
he runs it hard. He's very athletic.
He is, yeah.
So there was talks onto a sprinter, if I remember right.
I was going to say, he's quick. He's got good acceleration. He's quick off the pace. I think, he's got a good one in him.
And when you move at that size, he's a big lad. Considering is he 20, 21?
Something like that. He's a young lad.
The way that he moves and hits the line at pace is really threatening.
The first try Wigan scored, it was a brilliant piece of play from Eckersley, actually. Marshall's try. In the first half.
He lets Briscoe
double
shoot
pumps,
up,
doesn't he?
He lets Briscoe shoot up on Jake Wardle and then just plays out the back of him to Marshall, who strolls in. I want to talk about the first 3.
Yeah.
First one, a drop ball from Miski. Not much you can do about it. It's a mistake. We didn't recover it, but it landed at Jack Walker's hands. Dealt with, as you would expect. Then the second one from a scrum play. Really disappointing that. A short ball, they set up just to the right hand side of the sticks, our defensive left, and played out to our right. And a short ball that puts the defender, puts Liam Sutcliffe between Kieran and December. That's just not good enough. It's just not. The last try, the first half, that made it 18 points to 4. A kick to the corner. And Jez Litton jumps up uncontested. And then just puts the ball down. They are 3 simple tries.
Too easy, isn't it? Too easy.
We haven't been ripped apart with a brilliant attacking play.
No.
You go in, actually, we should do better there. We should do better.
Yeah, the bit come before the tries, isn't it? That was we were letting them having those attacking opportunities through our errors. They score off a scrum because we've knocked it on. Jack Walker's try comes off a mistake, off a drop ball. The Davy Litton try, all right, give him credit, it was a good kick and he's showed again to jump through the air, but that again comes from, they've got that, they're down in our half because of the errors we've made, so they can see in the tries. What we need to put actually back to is the stuff before the actual try you scored.
Yeah.
Wow, they've got it. But like I said, I thought our first one was good, that I got our 4 points on the board in the first half. I thought Eckersley, very easy there for a young lad to panic. We're in good position and just, catch it and pass it straight away, and it doesn't execute. Actually, to have the composure to take it, and all the wingers shot up, throw one, then obviously great past Briscoe to lob it, and then to Liam Marshall to score. I thought it was a really good piece of the composed, like I said, play from him. As a young lad, it's easy though just to get it and go crap and throw it straight away in a bit of a panic. Of, we need to score, it's on, and just to show that composure to double pump. I thought really good.
Now, last thing I want to mention in the first half before we move on, it was 18 points to 4. Tyler Dupree hasn't been banned for it. He got yellow carded for a tip tackle. And I find myself out of words to say what I want to say to this. He's still got a foot on the floor.
I'll say it, Duke. It's not a yellow card, is it? No. It's not a yellow card. It's not in a memory of man a yellow card. It's a penalty at worst. He has kind of maybe didn't need to lift the leg, but he's not been lifted, the whole player, because he's already going down. It's not like he's not been elevated in any way, so it's not like he's been driven down. It's a bit of silly play, probably lack of judgment, but it's not a yellow card.
And you know what? If he'd give a penalty, I'd have still been going.
It's
soft, but it's a silly penalty.
Yeah. You shrug your shoulders, you go, that's harsh, and you move on. But yellow card, huge impact on the game.
And I think that's shown with the fact that he's not even picked a ban up. For a tip tackle to not pick a ban up tells me that it was the wrong decision.
Referees made a mistake. The on-field refs made a mistake.
And I'm okay with that, but it's just a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, fair play though to the match review panel for this, because I did call them out a couple of weeks ago when I said there was I think it was a yellow card that I said I don't think was a yellow card, and they gave him a ban. I said the reason they've got to give him a ban is because they didn't want to throw the on-field ref under the bus to say actually got it wrong and we're not going to ban him for it. Whereas this time they said actually no, the ref got it wrong, he doesn't deserve a ban, so he's not, and that's
the justice has prevailed there. But ultimately you've been punished because you lost a good quality player for 10 minutes of a game that you really needed all your personnel on the field, really. Would it have changed the result? Who knows? Big if buts and maybes. But
well, second half we can go on to concede. My annoyance with this is Dupree was sent off in the 33rd minute. There was about 40 seconds left before he came back on. So to concede here, and we've talked about this a lot before, we traditionally said that don't concede points when we're down to 12. We do in this game, it's just a simple offload. We didn't get enough men in the tackle. Manages to find the offload, and what's his name? Young Jack. Is it Charles?
The half-back, yeah. The half-back for Hull, Charles.
It's not him who scored though. It's going to do my head in that now. What's his name? I'll just go have a look. Balforth.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Does really well. Collects the offload. And scores under a lot of pressure. Eckersley jumps out to try and tackle him. Mago's coming across. He does really well. Puts his head in a brave position. And scores. He should be really, really happy with that. Dupree comes back on the field. And in the 54th minute, Wigan score a nice play to the right-hand side. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up here. Miskie's stopped from scoring. Really good tackle, put into touch.
This is again when I come back to what I said before about Hull being effort areas and being desperate. This was another example of it.
You score this sort of try, we've seen Wigan score both sides with Marshall as well many times. So it's a bit unfortunate for Miskey that he didn't execute as well as he wanted to, but then Hull FC's defence, they scrambled well and they stopped the try.
And what I want to add to that is if Wigan score there in the 53rd minute, make it 24 points to 12, 24 points to 10 with 30 to go. It's serious pressure time.
You're still back Wigan.
Well,
you're still back Wigan.
Yeah.
as we know from the last 10 minutes, tries to change games. It changed the momentum, and momentum's a very hard thing to cope with when it's going against you. So,
and it took exactly 10 minutes after for Wigan to then score with Brad O'Neill jumping out from 9 and scooting his way over. Did really well to get his try. That 10 minutes just probably took the game. You needed 3 in 20 rather than 3 in 30. And it probably just took the wind out of ourselves and didn't leave us enough time. And stopping that try picks up and improves Hull FC.
Yeah, it's the momentum, isn't it? When you think he scored, we're going to go, right, come on, we're on here, and then it goes, actually, no, it's a no try, and you go, and it just deflates you. So it just keeps the momentum with Hull.
Yeah. About 8 minutes later, in the 72nd minute, Farman does really, really well. Makes a break through the centre of the field. Yellow card for a high tackle. Are you okay with that?
I think it's the scenario, isn't it? I think it's because it's the break. I think, you've seen him give him, seen him not give him. I haven't got a problem with that. I think, certainly in the rules this year, if you're taking someone's head like that, he's not gone to do it. It's just bad technique.
I think he's just been beat with a step.
Of course he has,
He's thrown his arm out. There's no malicious intent. I think yellow is sufficient. I don't think he's picked up a ban either.
I'd feel very bad for the whole player.
I think they've stated that it was just a yellow.
Yeah, good.
Yellow was sufficient.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But that obviously put Hull FC down to 12 for the last 8 minutes. And it took Wigan a minute for Liam Marshall to score. Similar block play. Finds Liam Marshall, who steps back inside.
Nice ball over the top from Smith on this one.
Yeah. Puts the game at 24 points to 16. And at this point, the nerves are starting to go into Hull. I think is a fair statement.
They're on the ropes.
And it's the next set that Wigan go downfield.
It was back to back, wasn't it?
Yeah. Probably something that we're particularly good at if you compare to the rest of the Super League. Getting back to back points. Break downfield. Get the ball out to the left hand side to Jake Wardle, who finds Eckersley back on his inside. Really, really good play from Zach, doing the fullback's job, backing up on the inside. Takes it to 24 points to 22 with 7 minutes left. And you're probably thinking, if you're a Hull fan, you're very, very nervy at this point. We're going to have gone back to back, found a bit of attacking form. And I think that's what makes this win feel even better for Hull fans. The fact that we actually got back into it and they could have very, very easily imploded. No one would have criticised them for imploding and conceding again to lose that game. Salford did it. Plenty of teams have done it this season. I want to talk about the last tackle. Very unlike Jake Wardle, who jumped in at hooker to not find Harry Smith. That's not good enough. It finds Eckersley picks it up, and you can just tell at that point that that's where you miss Bevan French and Field, that they can just do something special. The ball goes to then Brad O'Neill, who puts a bit of a more hopeful than pre-planned. It's very obvious that the play was set up for a kick from Harry Smith, and because the ball doesn't hit his hands, everyone's just sort of sat waiting. There's no real cue or signal from O'Neill.
No, it's a hit and hope, isn't it?
Yeah. And the winger does really well, diffuses it, and that's the game, really.
You're right, though, in terms of the momentum. I think that game goes on 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. You probably end up winning by a couple of tries. I think they were done, Hull FC, at that point. But it was a good show of the character to hold out, which is something, like you just said, many teams have crumbled in that scenario before. Hull FC themselves this year have crumbled in similar scenarios. So, credit to Hull FC. They stood up well. They did everything they could. They had to overturn Wigan. But I think it's one of those results you can't look too much into it. I think it's learn from it, move on. I think we'll start to see now what the effect had on the team, positive or negative, in these next few weeks for you, definitely.
Yeah. I have a feeling they might not even review this game. Maybe some one-on-one player stuff.
Yeah.
But
Tell you what, I know why it happened, lads. It's because you've not had your training ground. Robin Park's been getting used as a concert facility. Hey?
Yeah, we'll come back to that later in the news section. But yeah, that is you are right. Essentially, yeah, we'll come back to that. You don't know, do you? I think there's all things that play into it. One thing I will say, I do think this will fire. We're going to see a different Wigan at the start of that Warrington game on Friday because of this. Back in front of their own fans, knowing that that's back up. That standard won't be accepted. It's going to be right. We've got a point to prove.
That's
here.
the big thing. Is anyone sat thinking that the coaching staff and Matty Pete and the lads think, oh, it's a bad day at the office, we don't need to worry about it? Or do you think they're all going, it's not good enough, that?
I think they'll class it as a blip.
I think
they'll just say, look, it's a blip. And I think they'll forget about it.
But I think with that, there'll be some serious talks of...
Yeah, I agree.
If we go out there and perform like that again, the players know they're going to get it.
There won't be complacency. Pete, I've seen Pete go and get interviewed after a game where you've, in my opinion, played exceptionally well, completed very high, won a great game of rugby league. I've seen Pete stand there, stone-faced, almost looking a bit unhappy with certain aspects of the way you play. So I have no doubt that Pete isn't just going to go, ignore it, it's fine, and brush it under the carpet. I know he's not going to go over the top and maybe panic, but one thing's for certain is he won't allow that performance to happen again.
Not at all.
Results can always change because it takes two to tango. Depends how your opposition plays. Moments of brilliance. You can lose games where you could have won, but you won't perform that bad again.
No.
You will have high performance levels. You're complete in the 80s plus, and you'll be in that game next week.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I think that wraps that up. We'll come back in a second. We'll have a look at some news. Thank you.
Right, boys, it's time for the news segment this week. So what's been going on in the rugby league world? We've got a couple of stories, not in any particular order. First one, I believe this has only been announced today, so Monday as we're recording this. I think it's been today. I've not seen this over the weekend.
Yeah, you're right.
Breersy boy is back. Lee Breers, currently assistant coach at Brisbane.
Yep.
They've confirmed that he will be leaving at the end of this season.
At the end of the season, the statement says we can confirm that Australian coach assistant coach Lee Breers will return home to England at the conclusion of the 2024 season. He's made a huge mark at the club and he's 2 years here, and we wish him the best in his next chapter.
So he's coming back home. Obviously, where he's coming back to
not been announced
hasn't
yet.
Been said. There's a couple of speculations out there in the Twitter sphere, but
been a lot of speculation. I heard a rumour that he was taking another job up in the NRL as an assistant. So that statement today confirms that he's actually coming back to England, linked with a lot of jobs. He'd be an asset to everyone.
He would. Great coach.
He was phenomenal with what he did at Wigan.
Definitely. In terms of what his speciality is, in terms of the attack and the structures that he sets up, he did it in his playing days, does it in his coaching days. I think any team would be beneficial of having him.
I'm just looking at you, Lewis, and I know what you're going to say. You're itchy to say it. That training day we went watching.
Yes, yeah. So obviously he was influential there, and he is so. It is. I don't know. Is there a spot for him at Wigan? Do you think? We've currently obviously got Peter's head coach. We've got O'Loughlin and Lulawai currently as the assistants.
The statement was when he left that it was a job that you can't turn down. You can't turn Brisbane Broncos down.
No.
They're the biggest club in Australia. Definitely. You can argue the biggest club in the world. And he left with nothing but praise of the club. Talked about how much he loved it here. There's obviously the videos that went round that he was a Wiganer, and he's confident in some of the interviews he's done. I'm not so certain whether there is a thing there. Do you think he'll be looking for a head coach job? Will he be taking on assistant? I can't see there's a head coach job that he would want right now.
What is the only head coach job going, I suppose? Huddersfield, if they don't stick with
Yeah, you don't.
Luke Robinson or Leeds if they don't stick with Brad Arthur.
Yeah, you don't. I don't know. I mean, you could make an argument for a few different clubs. Well, obviously, everything that's going on from around the grounds, really. I think you can make an argument that he'd improve a lot of sides. It's all speculation at the minute. There's a lot of rumours. I've heard my fair share. Some I hope to be true. Some I hope not to be true. But either way, I think Super League's definitely going to be richer for having a good English coach back in Super League, and hopefully he can find that pathway back to head coaching, and that's what we want in Super League, isn't it? We want more, British English head coaches. So,
do you know what I think does need him? Saints. And it would pain me to see after what he's done with Wigan, but he's an attacking coach.
I was biting my tongue, but yes.
Saints, they're known for the defence. It's been, but they're struggling in attack. The attack's been criticised being quite boring at times. Do they need a fresh?
Crying out for
coach
it. Absolutely.
I think you'd definitely benefit him.
Crying out for that sort of coach, but will he go there? That's the thing. With all the context of what Saints are doing at the moment in the coaching structure, there's still question marks over Wellens. There's rumours that he's signed for another year. The rumours he's not. Either way, his contract's ending at the end of the year. So you don't know what's going on with that. It's a lot of if, buts and maybes, but he would definitely improve that side.
My one disappointment with this is I was thinking about this the other day, and he was the one that I could see being an NRL head coach. Could he go and do that step? Brisbane think of him really highly. They really rate him. And I just thought maybe he was the one that could go out there.
Crack it.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of English coaches that might. I think Steve McNamara might do a spell over there. Matty Pete in the future. I wouldn't be surprised. I thought Breers could definitely be one of them. So the fact that he's coming home, when I heard the rumour that he might be leaving Brisbane, a little bit of me thought he's getting a head job over there.
Yeah.
So that's me disappointing myself there, but you get the point.
Yeah, I get you. Should we move on to the next one?
Go on, Lewis.
Next piece of news, we've got Salford's surprise signing. So, yes, Jadon Nicarima, previously at Catalan Dragons. He was one of the three we talked about in last week's news segment who was let go of the club, had the contract terminated for throwing a sickie, essentially, to attend a concert, is the rumour. Although I don't know if that has been confirmed. I don't know if we need to say that. Allegedly, that's what's happened. That's what, again, is the rumour going round.
It don't matter why they've been sacked.
Yeah, essentially, the contract's been terminated is the facts that matter. Salford's jumped to it and signed him up.
Spine that now.
Well, it was a weird one, wasn't it, at Catalan? Because he kind of was on the bench for a while. So Did he play a little bit at 9 and 6, was it?
He was given the 6 shirt. They then signed Jordan Abdul. He started at full-back with Morg on the bench, got injured. When he came back, McLaurin was injured. And he played 9 off the bench with Alex da Costa.
Yeah.
Then he was back at full-back a little bit, and then he was injured again and sacked.
So will he play for Salford, do you think?
6
with Sneed at 7 and Brealey at 1.
I think that's a serious spine, that.
Yeah.
Brealey, Nicarima, Sneed, Atkin at 9. I keep seeing a lot of them saying that they want Partington at 13, and I think Joe Shanks is your perfect 13 for Salford. Play Partington as a prop.
Yeah.
Everyone else had a different thing there looking at Salford, but I think there's a real...
I think it suits Salford's style of play. I think he can be an exciting player.
They don't need another game manager, do they?
No.
They've got Mark Sneed.
Yeah, they've got the master of the craft in terms of that part of the play. So I think should be a good signing for him. And kudos to them for making the deal happen.
Hopefully, I've said a couple of times this podcast, I'm liking Salford. They used to be very easy 2 points in Super League when I first started watching rugby league. When they used to play, I think it was back called the Willows or something.
That's right.
And seeing them go from strength to strength, I think, is a really good...
Playing a good brand of rugby.
As again, Paul Goliarri, good English coach. I'm all for it. Next one, we have Sam. Sam will tear you apart again, and he will tear you apart again, because it was announced, I believe, Thursday night, I think this one was. It was announced. Sam Tompkins coming out of retirement to go and play back at the Catalan Dragons.
I think he'll fix 90% of problems at Catalan. Just overnight, just by by just
I think that's
being
what
there.
missing his leadership.
I mean, as a professional.
I think the fact that they lost Mitch Pearce at the same time. I know Mitch Pearce has had a bad reputation in his career for being a little bit problematic. But actually, they've got Luke Keary for next year, Elliot Whitehead. There are plenty of players coming along next year that are going to be that role model. You've got
That leadership group.
You've got Luke Keary who's Aussie international, played many Origin games, massively involved in the Roosters' success. You've got Elliot Whitehead, Canberra's captain, England international. They'll know what to do.
Yeah.
I think they just need someone to get them through to the end of this year.
They've looked a little bit Catalan this year. I mean, there's been performances where you've gone, this is the Catalan that we've got used to. There's other performances, obviously we'll get to soon, in regards to where they've not been at the races, but they've been just slightly, directionless, rudderless a little bit. So yeah, I think Sam coming back can't be a bad thing. I mean, it's curious that he made that decision quite bravely, actually, because he was still at the top of his game to retire.
Yeah. Well, no one would have criticised him not coming back.
No, not at all.
No one would
Yeah,
be saying that you should be coming back here to save your team.
no, he's made a break. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. So.
Interesting to note, you should probably note as well, kind of linking two news stories together here, but they're going to lose another member of that leadership group because Mickey McIlaurin has been confirmed of going to Hull KR.
Yeah.
So they are, again, with a couple of leaders who've gone in Mitchell Pearce, Sam Tompkins, although Tompkins is now coming back. Mickey Mack on the out. A couple of that leadership group, who you think, again, Tucker, how you'd think would be in that leadership group, an experienced player, been in the NRL with Sydney, Tonga, captain, he's now had his contract terminated. I think that's, they're missing the leadership aspects of it, and Sam will definitely give him that. Sky Sports have said that obviously his punditry responsibilities, once he comes, he'll be welcome back into Sky Sports. Obviously,
I think he'll go straight back.
So I think the kind of, obviously, won't be on our screens for the punditry stuff for the end of this season.
Which is a shame. I quite enjoy his insight, to be honest.
I do, to be fair. I think it's been good.
Just before we move on, the Mickey Mack talk, do you think that spells the end of maybe the Lytton Parcell double act?
You'd think one of them's going, wouldn't you, for Mickey Mack going? But how many seasons has Mickey Mack got left in him? That's the thing. I suppose Parcell's getting on a bit as well, and he was around at Leeds for a while before.
I think it'll be Parcell off, because that frees up the overseas spot.
Yeah. Do Mickey Mack for a season or two with Jez Lytton, and then if Jez Lytton doesn't play 18, he needs another sub 9. I don't know if the guy coming through the youth, or then they go back into the market for a sub 9.
It's like, I feel like it's a bit of a stopgap for a couple of years.
I think so. I think you're right.
I think that's what Tompkins is as well for Catalan.
They'll be paying for the RFL buffet, disciplinary buffet. Jared Warrior, Hargreaves, and Mickey Mack.
Yeah. Oh my
Some
word.
bands there.
Absolutely.
Go on, Lewis. We got anything else, mate?
We have got a couple more. I suppose you could class this as news. It was kind of something new they tried in Sky Sports. So obviously this week we went behind the scenes on Friday night into the camp of Warrington Wolves. They were given all-out access. So we got a bit of an insight into the changing rooms. Sam Tompkins speaking to some of the players and like team talks and things like that. Opinions on this, lads? Do we think it was good? Would you like to see it as a regular feature? Was it a good idea but executed poorly? Where do we kind of...
I don't like the idea of it being live.
Okay.
I didn't like the jumping into him. So there's obviously bits that were recorded and then they just played them like 2 minutes after they were said at the appropriate point. But it felt like because he was aware, especially before the game, he was aware that he was being recorded, Sam Burgess. And obviously they've picked Sam because he's the name, Sam Burgess. They've not picked him. They've not done this with every coach. They've started off with Sam Burgess because of who he is and the insight that he brings and his experience. But it just felt like he was nervous. Like he was in the change room. It felt like he had to say something for the camera. The Aaron Lindop, you were Calvin Klein's while you're playing. We're paying you too much. And he probably does make that joke, but it felt faked.
It's what value is that given to us as a viewer, I think, as well. I think what I like about behind the scenes, and I do like getting behind the curtain, I like a little bit of insight into maybe coaching structure. I mean, you don't want to hear, obviously, all the coaching tactical analysis because that's for them to talk about, but you like to see how things work in a professional outfit behind the scenes. We know that banter goes on and it's nothing wrong with it, it's fine, but I'm not getting much from that as a viewer. And I don't know, for me, I just thought it didn't add much value. And I also think you've got to also not just bag Sky. I think Sky
They've tried something.
They've tried it, yeah. And they first flirted with this behind-the-scenes stuff. I think it might have been the first game of last season with Lee, where they had that kind of, they were speaking to a lot of the Lee players and they were walking across from the training ground to the first game. And behind the curtain stuff, they're flirting with it. So
it was only the week before that they had John Wells. Was it John Wells and the Gantry?
Yeah, with Matty Pete.
With Matty Pete and Paul Wellens. And I didn't like that. This with Sam, it just felt like he's not there to express what his point is.
Yeah.
So there was one where it jumped to him and he said, just back RD. And they panned to it, made it a big thing that we'll go over to Sam Burgess now. And all he said was, let's back RD here. And it was just a message to get to players like, big set, let's just get through it. But you didn't need to jump to him for that. It just felt a little
It's like
bit
overhyped, isn't it? It's like, let's go to Sam Burgess and he's just doing his job.
Like when they watch what they do in the Origin, where they interview the coaches after about 20 minutes of the first half. What are you thinking here? How's the game going? Is it gone to the plan that you want? That's really insightful. But obviously, both coaches have been told that at some point in this game, you're going to have to give us a minute. And it was contracted. So they had no issue doing it. They answered the questions, but you could tell they were still focused on the game. This felt like there must have been a guy sat there with earphones in listening to Sam Burgess' every word, and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah. I think you were spot on with what you first said, Dukes. I think live, it doesn't add much value. I mean, you can probably get a lot of footage and package a lot of stuff up over a course of a few weeks in a season. You have a good video package, a good behind-the-scenes look. But I think live, you're lucky if you get that good sound bite. You're lucky if you get that good bit of analysis. Ultimately, it's a guy trying to do his job, and a lot of the stuff it's formulaic because they've done the hard work in training, they've done the tactical analysis in the sheds. So what Sam's saying is what it's nothing revolutionary. It's just do your job, do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing wrong with it, but fair play for Sky for trying to keep things fresh, I suppose.
Yeah, fair play. Last one I'm going to say, because the other one will mention it, but it's not necessarily news, it's put me over room that's flying around. So the last actual factual piece of news is Rocking Robin Park. So this week we've had Lathams, whatever you say.
Noel Gallagher's
Noel Gallagher, Dickie Ashcroft.
James Arthur.
James Arthur. That's been brilliant.
I think they've had some warm-up backs, and the lottery winners have been there doing some warm-ups, so it's been good.
Well, we spoke to Rads, didn't we? Obviously, listened to that interview, and he talked about it in that was 10 years in the making. This is something that he's wanted to do since he first got the job. And it took a lot of planning.
I saw an interview with him where he said he was really happy with it. He said the stage looks phenomenal and he's really happy how it's came together. Really good for the club to get extra revenue that way and to generate revenue from another source. And it's a good thing for the town. It's a good thing from Wigan, to people to travel and say, we'll go watching Noel Gallagher tonight. All right, okay, where's that at? Manchester, Liverpool? No, actually, it's at Wigan, a place called Robin Park. It's good. It puts Wigan on the map.
I just want to say, Richard Ashcroft mentioned potentially playing next door at DW.
All right, okay.
So I don't know whether he's let something out there that he shouldn't. I think that'd be another big step. Obviously, a 25,000 seater stadium. You can get another 10, 12,000 people in there would be a really, really
big event.
Well, I think the Verves are good. Richard Ashcroft and the Verves are good because obviously they're known for doing the gig at Hay Hall, which was the big one. And I know Chris Radlinski actually said he was there. And that's what kind of really made him proud when he saw Richard Ashcroft at Robin Park. This is taking me back to when I watched them at Hay Hall and stuff. So I think having that local, a Wigan band, obviously the Lathams as well, being like that.
My warning in terms of stadium gigs is, I know St Helens, we had the Who, I think, play.
Absolutely.
Wow, that pitch. Well, I mean, I think our pitch, it's not great. It's not a great field anyway, but it can cause damage.
I was going to say, I think the thing with the way that obviously it works at Wigan is slightly different than Saints. Obviously, we've had the football. We sort of play to their calendar.
Yeah.
And if you look at what the Etihad do, they finish their season, put the concerts on for 2 weeks, and then rip up the pitch and redo it.
Yeah, so you can time it well.
Yeah. So if it's timed well, it could be a really, really big thing.
Yeah.
It's a really thing, though, isn't it? Like I said, for the club, it's going to put Wigan on the map. It's going to put, what's Robin Park? Actually, you're good, and it's got all Wigan Warriors, logos
I
on
mean,
the outside, so it puts Wigan
It's
Warriors on the
also,
map.
it's just, always intensely envious of the setup you've got at Robin Park in terms of the professionalism there. It's all yours, it's in-house. I love everything you're doing, that you've kind of got this kind of sporting excellence kind of vibe and centre. I think it's the standard of Super League in terms of how you structure it. So I think now that you've got that added ownership and being able to do your gigs and it's good for the town, good for the club. I didn't go to any of them, but apparently they were good gigs.
Yeah, but I was the same, I didn't go, but I've only, seen positive feedback and stuff, so it'll be good.
Right, Lewis, what's this rumour you're bringing?
Rumour, yeah, so again, it's not confirmed, this one, it's Connect the Dodds. Lewis Dodd are kind of out of favour a little bit at the minute, it's fair to say, with St Helens, and Paul Wellens was dropped for the... Nearly said Good Friday, it wasn't Good Friday. That was a very, very long time ago. It was dropped for the Derby game, should I say. And they moved Wellesby into the arse and the young fullback come in, Richardson. And then obviously not playing. And there's rumours here that he's possibly going out on loan for the remainder of the season. Warrington is the club that has been kind of linked to possibly loaning him in for the rest of the season. Again, not for this, it's factual, nothing has been announced, it's just a kind of rumour floating about.
Do you think this rumour's come out more because of Burgess's connection to the Rabbitohs, which is his next club?
Possibly they're linking connecting the dots, as we said in the story there.
I'm not giving you the time for that.
He's going to South Sydney, he's going to Wellington because that's being coached by someone who's got South Sydney connections. So possibly that's where it's coming from.
It's another hypothetical, isn't it? I think one thing that's factual, which you can kind of see in terms of what happened, is obviously Dodd's fallen out of favour at St Helens. It's, you can call it the right decision by Wellens to drop him for the Wigan game and then to put him on the bench and bring him on halfway through again.
The one thing I've got against that, and I don't want to go into that game too much, but to drop your starting 7, and then bring him back, but to not play him on the... Why is he not on the bench on Good Friday? I'm doing you now, Lewis.
Sorry.
On the derby. That didn't make sense to me.
Of course it doesn't.
This leaves me with 2 questions. I said to Steve before we started recording when I was discussing this rumour. This leaves me with 2 questions. One, where does this leave Lewis Dodd at Saints? Is he done for the rest of this season? He's going to go to South Sydney and that's it, he's cut his ties with it. It seemed that would be the case. But then my second one is, if he is linked to Warrington, where does this leave Drinkwater? Because they started the season with Leon Hayes at fullback, brought Drinkwater in when he got injured. I think Drinkwater's been doing an alright job. They're currently sitting in second. He seems like he's got, he takes a bit of the kick pressure off. Williams been able to have a good left boot on him. And now if Dodd comes in and starts playing over Drinkwater, is his time at Wire done? He's clearly not favoured by Burgess.
He can't defend for me.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
And that's my big thing with Drinkwater. I watched the try, the last Saints try, and we will dive into it shortly, but he's so overplayed that he did not want to deal with that one-on-one. And he's only, I don't want to say only Sam Royal, but...
No, I know what you mean.
He's not trying to tackle Alex Walmsley one-on-one, is he?
Yeah, he should do better. You look at that,
you think he get a hand on him. You think get a hand on him.
Yeah.
And that's just not good enough.
It'll be interesting. I think it's a very... I think if I had to have a guess of what club would make this sort of move, Warrington would be the top one. They love this sort of thing. I won't be surprised if they've half done it for the headlines as well as the actual on-field stuff. But who knows? I think, with Dodd, it's wherever he goes, he needs to find that love for the game back. I think he's for one reason or another, he's got his eye.
He's struggling.
Yeah, he's struggling. He's not the only one struggling on that Saints side, and we'll probably, might talk about it, might not, but he's definitely copped it. Coach hasn't got that belief in him. You drop him for the biggest game of the season. Would you blame him if he took a deal somewhere else to get away from the heat? Maybe not.
And I want him to do well when he goes to Souths. And I know people listening to this might go, you're a Wigan fan rooting for... But I don't like it when English players go down there, flop for a couple and then come back. I don't think he looks good for the... He doesn't sell the English game good to the Australians.
Certainly in those positions as well. I mean, we've not really struggled in the past to have those forwards go over and do a job.
Yeah. We've actually had a couple of backs now.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Done all right.
Exactly. We want that to continue, don't we? We want to show that we have actually got that bit of creativity.
I was a big fan. I'll be talking again when we do the NRL section. Will Price, he didn't play this week for the Knights. So I don't know, maybe if they're just resting him with him being a young lad, I don't want to burn him out. I don't know if he's injured or they've just dropped him. But I don't want that happening. Do you know what I mean? I don't want English players being like, we brought him over, he's not this English superstar and he couldn't hack it in the NRL. It doesn't paint the English game in a good light.
I'm just going to add another thing to that. And I know we're nearly ending the news, so I'm sorry for carrying this on.
No.
But Saints obviously got young Robertson at fullback. I think there's a risk, especially if they let Dodd go, that if things don't go well, listen, he's been phenomenal. I've really liked him since I've seen him. But he's 18.
Yeah, too much too soon, potentially.
Too much too soon, pressure, fix things, and you then pick up an injury to a Wellesby or to a Lomax, and you've got no half-back, you've got a young lad at 18, and you're asking too much of players. And
this is the thing as well, isn't it? Because if, let's just say that hypothetical scenario comes true, let's say this is true, and in a week's time, Dodd does go to Warrington on loan, and let's say that happens, Lomax has another injury with his bicep or whatever, that's always heavily bandaged up, and he can't play, Wellens will come under criticism saying, well, why'd you let Dodd go? We had no backup halfback. We knew we was running low. You've had to play Wellesby there and put a young kid in at fullback.
Yeah.
Now Lomax is injured. Who are we going to? If that's the case, why did you let Dodd go? So
my 2 pence on it, final say on it is, I don't think in a month of Sundays Saints should be letting him go. I don't think he's the cause of all the problems. I think, as you just said, Tolan, I think, it's opened up too many pain points, too much weakness in squad depth. I think he's got a lot to offer. I think it'd just be silly. Certainly to a rival who, we've been Saints just got beat comfortably by them. I think you don't do that.
Here's a funny one. Imagine if he went and then you play each other in playoffs.
So you
can't play against your parent club, can you? Or they could put in your contract, you can't play. Like Tiaki Chan couldn't play against
I'd
us.
imagine Saints would make sure that he couldn't. I'd be daft if they didn't. I mean, it'd be daft if they allowed the actual deal. If the rumour comes true, I think it's a very, very, very silly decision by St Helens, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's all rumour at this point, we should say. And with that, boys, that ends the news.
Right.
That is all the news for this week.
We'll be back in a second to have a look around the grounds. So we're going to have a jump around the grounds. There's 5 games this week, 3 on the Friday. We'll do them 3 first. Huddersfield Salford, interim coach Luke Robinson. Is that back-to-back win? Lost to Lee last week in a good game. Win this week, 16 points to 8. Salford are going to be disappointed. They've got to be disappointed.
They will. It's like you say, it's back-to-back good performances, I think, for Huddersfield. They've built 2 really good performances. Salford will be disappointed, I think. Was competitive but couldn't get the win.
Win would have put them 4th.
We always have a joke about me with Huddersfield because obviously I tend to back them on the predictions, although I've learned a lesson. And I didn't back my back Salford this time. But, the reason why I kept backing is because I thought they've got an alright squad.
It's not like a quality on the field, is it?
They've
in
got
terms of the players.
Squad, it's just they couldn't, for some reason, they couldn't get him to click. But Luke Robinson, maybe a change of personnel. Connor came back in, who was obviously a bit out of favour, I think, with Watson. We don't know what's gone on there, but if you can get the best out of players like Jake Connor, then you've got a chance of winning games.
If your spine is Jake Connor, Lull here, and Adam Clune,
you need to be playing better.
It's a good spine.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's not like you're not looking at their squad like maybe not to be disrespectful, but when you look at like Hull FC and their squad at times and some of the youngsters they're trying to get through, they're doing it tough. You look at Huddersfield's squad and you think they need to be doing better.
This is a side that you think if they don't win now, they might not win.
Yeah.
Honestly, the aging squad you go in, if they don't win in the next year or 2,
yeah,
it might take them 5 years to get back.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I think Huddersfield have been probably grossly underachieving the last 2 or 3 years since Watson came in. Really, he came in with quite high hopes. He's got that style of rugby which was well sought after when he was at Salford, and they've just not kicked on. So good on, obviously, Huddersfield in terms of the victory, and hopefully it's not a flash in the pan and they can start to get the most out of the squad. But I think Salford will be definitely disappointed.
I think... Sorry, I'm just checking here. Sky Sports News app is being... where are they? Yeah. Sorry, I was just checking, sorry for the listeners, the league table, and I think, top 6 is completely out of contention now for Huddersfield, isn't it? They're currently sitting on 14 points and Salford's on 22.
I don't think it's just the points. I think they've got Leeds,
Yes.
Salford.
Yeah.
There's too many
Too
teams
much.
in between.
Yeah.
It's not the points that you can make the points up.
Yeah.
It's 3-4
It's
wins.
the fixture list, isn't it?
It's who they've got to play, and they've got to
And
play
the
all
fact that
them
those
guys.
teams are not going to lose 3 or 4 games
Not all
leading
of
up to
them.
it.
One of them
So,
aren't.
I think,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
but hopefully, Robinson can start to build, put some good performances in, and they can start to build, like you say, for next season.
But Salford will be looking at that as an opportunity missed, though, definitely.
Yes, they will.
I was just going to say about Salford here. Obviously, the director of rugby, Blease, moved on to Leeds.
Yeah.
There's a bit of speculation around Rowley. They weren't convincing when they beat Hull FC. They were poor against Catalan. Now they've been poor against Huddersfield. How did they just stop this rot? Do you think Nick Arima's signing is going to be enough to stop the rot?
I think there was always going to enter a bit of a purple patch, if you will. Because when we looked at it at the start of the season, they've been overachieving, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but with the squad they've got, very thin on players. They have got quality in there, but again, a couple of injuries could go through. I didn't think they had the squad depth to keep this up for a long period of time because they couldn't change it up a bit. So I think we're seeing a bit of a purple patch from fatigue, from players who are,
Could do the week off.
yeah, who could do with the week off, and they could do with Sneed not having to have a 9 out of 10 every single game to be competitive in
They're
games.
pressure though, because you've got to go to play Cass next week and Cass a fly.
Yeah, we're going on to Cass, but that's going to be an interesting game for them. So, but I do think they will come good. I think they're a bit of a purple patch because I haven't put the same team out every week, and that's going to take its toll on you a little bit.
Let's move over to Lee. Lee beat London 36 points to 6. It was 22-0 at half time, 28-0, and then obviously they get a try back into it to get to 28 points to 6, and Lee finish off the second half, 2 tries and made that convincing. Good for the points difference for Lee. Put some in better points difference than Leeds, Salford, close to Catalan, who were 7th, 6th and 5th. Do you think Lee will be fancying themselves? Maybe to have a push at the top 6? The 7 points behind Salford. Obviously got the game in hand against Wigan. But 7 points, they can turn over a couple of teams. There's no reason they can't sneak the top 6.
I think they'll definitely push. I don't know if they'll get
I don't think they've got enough time.
I think they'll win it on time. I think they'll push. I don't know if they'll get there.
The running's not great as well.
I'm going to kind of change your question up a bit and fire it back at you. If Lee don't make the top 6, is that a bad season for them? No.
Last season was that much of an overachievement.
Yeah.
Winning the cup and finishing 5th. They were never ever going to do better than that. Anyone thought that they were going to go and win the league leaders this year? No.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Probably skewed people's perceptions
They might
potentially.
be a touch disappointed. If they were to fall behind Huddersfield and finish 9th, I think that's a poor season. If they just miss out on the 6th and finish 7th, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
But you know what? A good second season in Super
And
League.
we have to put this season into context. They have had a bit of an injury. I mean,
we
did say last season did so well, but we did say they got a bit lucky with the fact that they had the best players on the field for a very big part of the season. I know Eyecatchers did pick up a little bit of an injury last season.
Yeah.
But it's been quite similar. It's a bit with the opposite this season, hasn't it? They've been hit with quite a few injuries, haven't they? Pape's been out, Eyecatchers are 2 very big players for them. So I think you've got to put the season into context as well. But I think they'll have a push for the playoffs, even if
they'll believe they can. They'll believe they can do it. They've got the players that they should be able to win games now as we head to the business end. But maybe it's too little, too late. But routine win probably in the end for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Now might be a great time to explain to the listeners.
Full disclosure. We've kept this from you. Mainly so I can do this. Alex, you sat here, you are not a Wigan fan. We've known you all our lives. Some may say unfortunately, being from the other side of Bill and Jill.
But you are a Saints fan, and we are now going to ask you what's going wrong with Saints. They lose to Warrington. You can get rid of your 4 in a row and talk about the real 4 in a row, which is 4 losses back to back. I'm trying to think who they were. Salford. Who was the one before Wigan?
Salford before the international break.
Cass.
Then it was
Wigan.
Yes, Cass, Wigan, and then
Warrington. So you've been beaten by a whole range of teams. Like you've not just not to discredit them two, but there's 2 that you could lose to at any point in a season, no matter how well you play.
Yeah.
You can lose to Wigan and Warrington at their grounds. The Cass loss and the Salford loss are big losses if you're a Saints fan. And I sort of want to ask you, and I'll maybe keep it to 5 minutes so I don't put too much pressure on you, but what's going on?
Well, firstly, sorry listeners, I am a St Helens fan. Hopefully, because we've tried to keep that quiet for the first bit of the pod, you know that I'm not biased or not too biased. I've tried to keep myself on the fence and watch things from a perspective, which is fair. But yeah, in terms of what's going wrong at Saints, it's hard to be objective when you're a fan. You do get sucked into the emotions. I try and distance myself from a lot of the reactionary stuff that you see from all fan bases, certainly at St Helens at the minute. My take on it is it's nothing new in terms of what our problems are. Since Wellens came in, there was a distinctive change in the way we play. Certainly in the entertainment factor. We were known for a few years as being a side that can score some great tries, and by all means we've still got the personnel that can. But we just don't play an expansive brand.
Do you think that is just on Wellens, or do you think that started under Wolf?
Look, I think Wolf certainly had his specialities, which was certainly the defensive side. But there's no doubting that we played much better rugby under Wolf. I think when Wellens comes in, he's very, very aware of the detail. So he loves those small, error margins, the statistics. I know he's all over them. He called himself in an interview, he's the rugby geek. So is his assistant Fresno. No, it's not, to answer your question, it's not just Wellens. I'm not trying to pass the buck to just one man, but it's for a fan perspective, I've gone to the games, I've watched them now for years. It's no new problem with what we're experiencing this year. I think the difference this year is that we haven't, all teams have injuries, but we've had some of those X-factor players, the players that drag us over the line maybe when we don't deserve to, which there was a lot of last year, who aren't doing it for whatever reason. We spoke about Dodd and being dropped. He was one of the stars last year. There's a lot of different names you can bring out the hat, but we don't play a good brand of rugby. We've never had a problem getting up the field. We had, I think it was 38 play the balls in Warrington's 20 when we played them.
More than Warrington, did they?
Oh yeah, but they had single figures. I don't look at stats much, but I had to look at the stats because I felt that we were camped on the line for about 50 minutes of the game at times. We just can't break teams down systematically, and that's the problem. We rely on X-factor players to do some great things. Those X-factor players at the minute aren't doing it, and there's no structure behind to support that. So we repeat set, brute force, do the same thing. There's no creativity. And I think what's happening is we're just not dragging ourselves over the line this year. But it's not a new problem. I've been saying it since last year. We get into people's 20, no problem. We can't break teams down. We were mistakes or individual brilliance. There's no structure.
I think, just to kind of give an example of this, and I said this, I'm going back some time here, even on the Good Friday game where you beat us, I thought for the amount of possession you had, your defence got you through that game because you defend very, very well. But for the amount of possession you had and the amount of 6 against that got called when you was in Wigan's earths, when penalties you got when you was in Wigan earth, and you was just constantly applying pressure, but you never looked like scoring.
Nope.
And it got to the end where your 2 tries did come off a Hull 1-on-1, which Hull will do that, and it kicked him.
We've been down to 12 men for the best part of half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, because of the red card and stuff. So,
and then they're making some I'll leap into
And I
it.
did notice that. I said, you know what, they defended well, but for the amount of ball they had, they could not score. They didn't look like scoring, you know.
You can look at any game.
And you do rely on a blindside play to put one for a one-on-one barge over. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, a bit too much. When the side's open, you've got half-back, you've got Wells, but you're thinking something's on it, and it's like, oh, good blind to hold and open, just barges over.
The issue is there's no plan B, C, D, E. There's just a plan A. And that plan A doesn't work often, if ever. I'd love to see an example when it's worked, but we have the same structure, we have the same routine, and I think Wellens is more about the statistical side of things in terms of repeat set, stay in the right end of the field, force the error, get the offload, and that's how we score, but we don't break teams down. The biggest thing for me as a fan, the last thing I'll say in terms of how we play, is that Warrington game. When Warrington went down to 11 players, I had no faith that we could score a try. No faith.
You know what? I disagree with you slightly. I thought you'll get one. You needed to get two. You needed 2 tries in that 10. It's probably a 6-minute overlap, wasn't it? If I remember right.
Yeah, give or take.
Oh, no, sorry, no, that's the complete lie. It was 10 minutes because obviously Harrison was off first. You had 10 minutes at 11. And I thought you have to get one after about 3 or 4 minutes. And then either pepper them or have a big chance and score.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't see you getting 2 tries.
No. Well, I'll be honest. This is me blinded as a fan, and I think it's good to see other perspectives. But I didn't have faith in us. I know we could. We've got players that can score tries. You told and said it yourself. I know he's not playing, but when you've got X factor players like Hurrell, but I mean we still have great players on the field who can do that. You know, Purcell, for example, thought he played quite well individually, making great meters. But again, we've never struggled. I think you look at the statistics of that game, we completed at 84%, which is the same as Warrington. We had exactly the same amount of sets as Warrington. We had the better territory, so we were camped in their end of the field. Yes, the sending offs and things will certainly factor in. We had the better player balls in their half. We had everything statistically. You'd think we walk away with that win. But then the scoreline was completely not in our favour, and to be honest, it probably flattered us. And that's how we don't look like a team with direction at the minute. I mean,
it's the old Michael Owen analysis. This team don't score, they hardly ever win.
It's true.
I think St Helens is under that. They're struggling to score points. If you don't score points, you don't win games.
This is the Wigan Way podcast, and I'm not going to monopolise this over St Helens. And the last thing I will say in terms of coaching as well, you know, Wellens out, Wellens in, whatever. There's no direction at the minute in terms of the way we play. And in the selection, I don't think Wellens or the coaching team fully know what the solution is. I mean, the biggest example is that bench. I think we've got injuries, but so have a lot of teams. But when you've got John Bennison, who's famously out of favour with Wellens, not good enough, forever the 18th man, gets in the 17s on the bench. And you have Lewis Dodd, who Jukesy spoke about before, about the big, brave decision of dropping him in the Wigan game, brought back the week after. He did an interview, Wellens, about there's a pathway back for Lewis Dodd. He has to work at it, but he's definitely not out of the fold. He can come back. 7 days that took for him to go on the bench. So we had our bench, already inexperienced, had 2... Well, you want forwards on the bench, don't you? You want forwards.
You want two big forwards.
We had Lewis Dodd, who came on after, I think it might have been, was it 50 minutes into, it was certainly into the second half. Asking a lot of him. A lot of pressure on him from the fan base and obviously from where we were in that game at that time.
He'd already started MBI at 13.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like at the minute, don't know what the solution is. I mean, famously, Wellens doesn't like using all his bench. I mean, Vaughan came on against you, man. I think he had about 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah. Sam Roll wasn't used.
He doesn't do it. He doesn't, and what does that tell the players? Doesn't have much faith in them, but it's all a bit crazy.
Wellens has changed as well, I think, in recent weeks. I said this the other week. It was been interesting to see what you think as a Saints fan. I used to think, especially that last, I thought he spoke very well.
Yeah.
And he would always say things like, I've got a nice group of players, and, you know, he'd speak very highly of his players. Against the Cascade, he comes out and says some people don't understand what wearing this shirt means, and, you know, the standards, that sort of. And he called them out a bit, and I was like, it's very un-Wellens-like. He's normally would, I'd expect him to go out there and say, that wasn't good enough, but I have an honest group of players who will know that's not good enough, and we'll know that in the sheds, and we're hurting, and we'll come back and we'll make it. And he didn't. He kind of threw them under the bus a little bit and called them out in the press, and I didn't think it was very Wellens like that. No, he was getting a bit rattled, a bit frustrated.
Yeah,
There's one thing I want to ask. I'll ask your opinion of. And this is to take no discredit away from the teams that have beat you. Warrington were really good. I thought Warrington played really
Yeah,
really
we've got to
well.
give credit to... We're
Massive
talking about
credit.
Saints because we've got
Yeah.
a Saints fan on the podcast with us. But yeah, we've got to give credit to Warrington.
Massive credit to Warrington.
I honestly do think, what was it, 24-10?
24-10.
Bear in mind they were down to 11 for 10 minutes, 12 men for best part of 60. If he stays on the field, it could have been 40-50.
Oh, it could have been embarrassing. Yeah, could have been.
Even when you won the 4 competitions in a row, I always questioned your squad depth. And I'd look at the start of this season and pick 2 players, Ben Davis and Sam Royal, both 24. Both got squad numbers 21 and 22, I want to say. But Sam Royal might be 24. I might be slightly off with them numbers. Neither of them are rated by Saints fans. Neither of them seem to get away with a mistake. And I'm hearing fans say that we have to play these 2. Well, the squad numbers 21 and 22. At the start of the season, if you're our 21 and 22 is Ryan Hampshire, Junior December, Sam Walters, are our 20s.
Yeah.
Every single one's expecting to play. It's your squad numbers 28, 29, 30, 31 that might go out, might get 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
These players are expected to play.
Yeah,
Delaney, I really like Delaney. I think he'll be a
Yeah.
top player.
great player.
He's got squad number 20. I don't even think he's 20. He might be 19. Might have just turned 20.
Hmm.
Your squad number 20 is what I've played best part of 25 games, if not more, assuming they don't get injured.
Yeah.
Even if you stay fully fit, because you can't pick your 1 to 17 every week.
Mm.
You've got Benison, number 5. Number 5 suggests he's your starting winger. And you've decided to play Blake there. Well, I understood it while you had Hurrell fit, but Hurrell's now not fit. And you're still playing Blake on that wing. And your starting winger can't get a game.
Yeah. It's just, I think the word you'd use is just imbalance. I think there's an imbalance in the squad. There's those youngsters who now it's getting a little bit tedious to use the description youngsters because, as you say, a lot of them in 4th or 5th season now because they've come through young and maybe they've not kicked on in the way some people thought. But then that's not on them as individuals because, in all honesty, I think Sam Royal's doing everything he can and he's actually bagged himself a couple of tries the last few weeks despite results. Ben Davis, you can't fault his effort. He's always going into it, but it's one of those things as a fan you think, is that the quality that you want and we need? Potentially not. But I think in that Warrington game, I think, like you said, give credit to Warrington for how they played. They scrambled well. But then, like I said, the analysis from me, it's the same problem. It's just we're being found out about it now. We get up the field fine. You'll never have a problem with us getting up the field. You never have a problem with us in completion most of the time because that's what Wellens loves. He loves a bit of completion. He loves the arm wrestle. We can't break a team down. You're not doing anything if you can't do that. And the likes of the Lomaxes and the Percivals and the Walmsleys and the Makinsons that we've relied on for 10 years now, it's not going to go on forever. Makinson's already leaving. Lomax has signed I think a 2-year extension, but can he keep to the levels that he's been in the last 4 years? Walmsley, 30-year plus, give him a 2-year contract and he's out for 12 weeks. Not his fault, but it's some of it you feel. Yeah, of course, time catches up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens the rest of the year. But in terms of that game against Warrington, I wasn't surprised, is what I'll say. It's the same problems rearing its head. But we move.
Should we move on to Saturday's games?
Yeah.
Yes. So obviously, we've already touched on the Wigan game, Wigan versus Hull FC. The game that happened at our kick-off later, so I did manage to catch the second half of this game after watching Wigan. Other Hull team was in action against Leeds at Headingley. So Leeds versus Hull KR. Hull KR went out 20 points to 12 winners.
I enjoyed this game.
First game in Brad Arthur. I know obviously was watching the game last week. Yeah. When I said I'd left I only just landed. I left the assistants to it. First game with Leeds under Brad Arthur.
I'm just going to say I'm not going to judge Leeds off this one.
No.
I agree.
I think you've got to give Brad Arthur the best part of 3 weeks. And looking at Leeds' thing now, they obviously played Warrington and Hull KR against him.
Yeah.
I think these next 2 weeks where you need to judge what Brad Arthur's done. They've got Huddersfield away and Salford. They're 2 teams that they're competing with for the top 6.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah.
And Huddersfield are coming with a point to prove that if they win, they could still get in mathematically.
Yeah.
So now he's had just over 2 weeks. Players should be buying into what he's doing. So I'm going to be judging Leeds from next week. I don't think it's fair to do this.
I think that's fair.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I think they did look better in glimpses, Leeds. I think with the defence and stuff was a bit better. Still obviously work to be done. For Hull KR, a good victory away from home at Headingley.
I was going to say, Hull KR are doing something that I've never really felt with them until the last 6 or 8 weeks, where they're winning games, playing all right. I feel like they've either been really hot or really cold, and now they're just being good. They're just playing decent.
Ticking over, aren't they?
But I mean, in terms of we say on this podcast about Wigan, an important thing when you want to get to grand finals and win trophies is finding ways to win games even when you're not playing.
Absolutely.
100%. So
that's the next big challenge, to have a bad day at the office and still win.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I mean is they're just ticking over at the moment and just getting through.
But they're looking good for it. I mean, some of the tries, they play good rugby. They've got good players. I think that the question of consistency has been the biggest baton against them.
They've won 6 of the last 7, and one they lost was a golden point game to Carlisle.
Yeah.
They'll be in it.
You don't want to peak too soon. You don't want them to peak now. You need to go in over steady and peak,
but
put the foot down and get through the gears.
You're right, though. I think it looks like they've got those gears to come.
Yes.
Which is a positive. That's a good thing. So, yeah.
Definitely.
They look good for that win.
Definitely. And then the last game of the weekend was Sunday, so yesterday. Bit of a shock, I would say, this one. No disrespect to Castleford, but I think many people would have been going for a Catalan win here. But Castleford run out 24-18 winners at home in front of their own fans at the Menderhorse Jungle. Crisis for Catalans, or do we praise Cass? Cass have been performing better, even though sometimes they've not been on the right results. And obviously, I know they had the win against Saints we touched on, but even they've had some close losses, which said the performance was getting better.
Cass are flying at the moment. They're playing really, really well. They're full of confidence. Catalan are the exact opposite. They have no confidence in whatever they're doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be bringing Sam back. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's just a couple of things that I want to mention, and it's the first try of Cass's. Is it 7 or 8 minutes in? It's not even that. It's 5. And they put a hopeful kick up, and Artyomov doesn't get to it. He lets it bounce, and you know the old saying. I'm not gonna repeat it. Well, I might as well now. But don't let the rugby league ball bounce.
You never let a rugby ball bounce. Taught that from a very early age.
Liam Orn does such a good job here to press him, but why does Artyomov not just deal with it? He lets it bounce. Yeah. Then gets into the right position to just knock it dead and say, listen, I made a mistake, but I'm not giving points up. And Liam Orn just works harder.
Yeah, there's two errors there. There's the not diffusing it originally, but then he has the time to reset.
That's not an uncommon thing. It's not uncommon to not.
Yeah, of course. And it was a good kick as well. You found the gap in between the winger and the fullback, but
once he then gets back, he's not slipped, he's not done anything. The ball's bounced favourably.
Yeah.
Why do you let that ball bounce? And I know it's funny to say because Sam's coming back, but I judge everything on a fullback off what Tompkins would do.
Yeah,
because he was the guy that I grew up.
He set the standard as well.
He set the standard of attacking fullbacks over a long period of time, being very good defensively. Sam doesn't let that happen.
No.
He just deals with it, knocks it.
Let me ask you this then. Sam Tompkins coming back. Is it a good move from Catalan?
Yeah.
Is it a show of desperation? Yeah. Is it both?
It's both.
Sting. Yeah.
Well, it's both. If Tompkins comes back into the fold and is at that level that he left on, we don't know. We're presuming he goes straight back to where he left off. He might not. I mean, he made that decision that he was going to retire because he said himself in interviews that he said he felt, he has a high standard for himself and he doesn't want to decline. So he wouldn't be saying that if you thought he had 5, 6, 7, 8 years left in him.
There was a story, again, in his last season, that he did actually go to the chairman and say, look, I think he said less than 10 games in me or something.
Yeah.
Because he was confident and he was saying, very honest with him, but saying,
if I remember correctly,
I don't want to be... You're paying me loads of money. I'm going to play. My knee is...
He started the season injured, didn't he? And I remember it was when Channel 4 was doing the coverage and he was on the punditry last season. He was getting asked, when you're back, Sam, when you're back? And it was like, next week. And it kept lingering on. Then luckily, when he came back into the side, he was in. He got a good run. So we know he can play well, but I think it's a gamble. And I think that's why I'm leaning more towards it being desperation. Because if it comes off and with Sam plays how we know we can play, then of course it's going to pay off. But if he does a Greg Inglis that Warrington did, bring a guy who Sam didn't medically retire, but a guy who said my body's not up to it, comes back out of retirement, plays 4 games and he's gone. What happens if Sam comes back and he's not quite at it? I hope he's not. I hope he does.
Obviously, I don't know him. I'm not like... He's not my best mate. Like, I don't know him. From what I understand of Sam, he wouldn't do it.
No.
If he didn't think he could make it.
Yeah, he believes in himself. Yeah. Of course he does.
Now, whether he plays at fullback or he plays at 6, because he might not have the running in him that a fullback needs to do, I'm still confident in saying that if Sam plays on Sunday against Catalan's win.
Yeah.
Because I'm backing any team with Sam Tompkins in it.
Yeah, of course.
The grand final last year, we knew he was on one leg, he couldn't walk properly, whatever, and I was still going, he just needs one moment.
Yeah, well, the moment in the semi.
In the semi against Saints.
He
looks so injured, he sort of goes for the drop goal and just steps, bang, bang, and next thing he scores, it's like, how did it happen? Yeah. So I don't think Sam would do it.
No, he's not.
He didn't think he could do it.
Yeah, of course.
And he won't be coming back here unfit.
No. You're right there. You're right. He definitely know he's doing it because he thinks he can do a job and he thinks he's got something to give. I hope.
Yeah, he's not coming back for the paycheck.
Not at all. He's coming for the right reasons, and I hope it pays off.
They make the playoffs and he plays.
They will. I hope,
could do anything with him.
I hope we don't get him again. Call flashbacks. But yeah, we'll. I think in terms of that game, though, I think Catalan definitely needs to reset and needs to stop this becoming a rut. And then, with Cass, good on him. Third win in a row, getting a bit of form for him. So, good job.
Right. Yeah. We'll be back and we'll do a little bit of NRL and predictions very quickly. Thank you. So we're going to have a look at some NRL now, guys. Quite a few close games this week. Starting off with Canberra and New Zealand on I think it's Thursday morning. 20 points to 18 New Zealand Warriors. Missing a kick. Very, very kickable as well. It wasn't...
You'd expect him to kick it, yeah. If you've not seen this one, it has been going on social media. It's the 6th for New Zealand who has a kick from not necessarily directly in front, but literally just to the left. You would expect him to kick it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And it ends up just basically just slicing it. You just slice it across, comes right across it. Like my drives, yeah. No, I've sorted it out. It's a power fade now. You tap the team on a slice. It's a big power fade.
I didn't know we were lying on this podcast.
And no, if I was lying, I'd say big high drills. And yeah, he's missed it, unfortunately, and you could see he was gutted after the game, and the cameras cut to him in the sheds, and he was upset, and it's not his,
it's not his fault, but
it happens,
you feel a lot of blame.
Yeah.
Next one, the Bunnies beat the West Tigers. One of the two strangest teams. West Tigers can't seem to get anything going. No. 1 step forward, 5 steps back, feels like though. But the Bunnies now have won 6 from the last 7, only losing to Wayne Bennett's Dolphins last week.
Yeah.
They're now 4 points off the top 8, and there's 3 teams in that: Canterbury, the Dolphins, and the North Queensland Cowboys, who are on 24.
And what are they on? Sorry, 20.
But they're on 20. They've
20.
got St George in 9th on 24, Canberra on 22, and Brisbane on 20. That'd be a miracle if they somehow managed to get the top 4 from there, considering they've got 12 of the 20 points in the last 7 weeks. It would be phenomenal.
They're on a good run though. Form, counts for a lot, so I won't put it past them.
No.
And they've got the quality on the field.
Yeah. Now, Newcastle hosted Brisbane. Brisbane needed this win. They needed a result.
Adam Reynolds back for Brisbane this week as well, which is massive for them.
I really don't think there's many players as influential as he is.
No.
On a team. If he plays, I'm back in Brisbane every week.
Well, it's like you said when we said this last week. Brisbane have got stars. They've got Reece Walsh, obviously, Ezra Mann. They've got what's the winger called? Really good winger they've got. I forgot it. I say he's good, and I forgot his name. Who am I thinking of? Doesn't matter. We know they've got stars all over the place, haven't they? But it just shows how influential Adam Reynolds is because you take him out. Stags. That's
centre, sorry.
Centre, not winger. Sorry, no wonder I was confusing you. But yeah, and without Reynolds just ticking him all over, they struggle. So it just shows you how important he is, really.
A game manager. Yeah. Melbourne keep the top of the table gap to 4 points. They moved on to 34 points with a win against the Roosters, 24-8. Another big win. 3 yellow cards in this game. Victor Radley, Joe Chan and Connor Watson all picking up yellows. I don't think there's a team that's eaten more than Melbourne. Kick at 2.
Melbourne, do you know what I think is... We know they do have quality, but I think compared to some of the other superstars... And when you think of superstars, right, in the NRL, you think of Reece Walsh, you think of Nathan Cleary, you think of Dylan Edwards, you think of Latrell Mitchell. A Melbourne player doesn't really come to your head, does it? But they're still sitting at the top of the... They just take over so well as a team.
Yeah,
I know they've got Munster. I'd say
I'm
they're
going to
a
say
superstar.
this. I know what you're getting at there, and I agree they don't have the superstar. But is there a better spine in a competition than Pappenhausen, Cam Munster, Jerome Hughes, and Harry Grant?
Is Pappenhausen playing again at the minute? Is he
Pappenhausen's
back?
yeah.
Is he back? Yeah.
They've got 2 wingers. The Queensland winger, I forget, Xavier Coates. He's out injured at the moment, but they've got Will Warbrick, ex-international sprinter. I think they've just got... They spend the cap really well is what I'm going to get at.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not one big stir, it's lots of stirs dotted about.
Spread across the team, yeah.
Working from Nelson at the top of the table.
Yeah. Penrith, they've got Nathan Cleary back.
Clutch.
And as quick as they get him back, he just shows why he's on $1.3 million, is it? Dolphins will be disappointed. Give a penalty away. Josh Kerr got a yellow card with 5 minutes to go that give Penrith the penalty to get to 26-26. Then Nathan Cleary hitting. Why would you just take a drop goal when you can take a 2-pointer from 40 metres and just nail it? He is that good. Ice
in his veins. He's the play. It's not a flash in the pan with him. He can pull out the bag. You have him on your field. If you're in a close game, you fancy yourself. He's a great player, and he proved it again, didn't he?
Always composed as well.
Yeah. I think they'll be kicking themselves here. With 20 minutes to go, they've got a 14-point lead, the Dolphins. You're not going to find yourself in many better positions than that against Penrith. And to end up losing that game will be a real kicker for them.
I think in hand, the overarching pitch, don't lose to Penrith by 2 points is really, really good for the Dolphins. But I think given the context of the game and the lead they will be kicking themselves.
Yeah.
Now, my favourite guy's back. Turbo.
Yeah,
back for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but he's back at full back here.
What about Burbo and Gerbo? Do you like them?
I love them all.
That's right.
The balls. But I genuinely do mean this. As good as Nathan Cleary is, I think he's so good because of his consistency. I think if every player in the league is on it, I don't think there's a better player than Tom Sorojic.
Yeah.
But full back, he is so big and so strong.
He's a superstar, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a superstar.
He's a superstar.
So Manly winning that one 38-8, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit disappointing for the Titans. But I think Desi House has gone playing well. They're doing all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into this for either team, to be fair. I don't think Gold Coast are going to go off the rails. I don't think Manly are going to spark into anything. I think it's just a case of, it was maybe a 30 points difference. Gold Coast won't be happy the defence that concede 38 points. But yeah, I think it's just one of those. They move on to next week.
Right. North Queensland Cowboys versus the Bulldogs.
Another close game.
Another close game. North Queensland win it 20 points to 18. And again, that just tightens up that 6-12. A bit harsh, but 6 to probably 14 in the league. That's gone really, really tight. 24 to 19 points. There's 7 teams sat on that. It's really, really. It's really,
not much
really
wiggle
difficult
room,
situation to be in.
I know Canterbury lost this game, and I said it last week, but they're considering where they were last season. Come on, leaps and bounds.
Did you get the spoon last year?
I can't remember where they finished. Or was it West that were bottom?
Oh, they finished 15th.
West St George and Canterbury were the 3, kind of always losing every week unless they played each other, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But this year they come on leaps and bounds.
I'd love it if they made the top 8. I really would.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we have a look at some predictions?
Yeah, let's go back to Super League.
Right. We play first. Sorry, I'm just completely having a moment here where nothing's working on my...
The Thursday game is Huddersfield versus Leeds at Huddersfield this week. So that's the first game coming up. So it's Huddersfield versus Leeds at the John Smith Stadium.
Should we give our guest the advantage of going last?
No, here's a rule, Tom. We've got to decide on. York's going to give us predictions because he's here, so he at least gets to chat. Do we count these as Matty's, or do we let Matty text us with his predictions, or do we just say you're not here, Matty, so your faith is now left on Alex, and do it that way?
Listen, he wasn't brave enough to turn up. He's bottling the race.
You'll have to get your guest, but do this for me, by the way, next week, because I'm obviously on
I feel that's a lot of pressure on my predictions, but
we'll let you go last then. We'll let you go last.
No, I've made mine, by the way, so there's no cheating here. I'm not going to get swayed by your opinions, but I've made mine, so
okay.
I don't mind going first, second, third. Dealer's choice.
Well, he's that confident. He's got to take Matty's goal.
Come on then, big boy, let's see who you're going for.
I don't know about confidence.
Huddersfield Leeds, Thursday night. Which one are you going to get wrong, first of all?
So, to get wrong, first of all, I'm backing Leeds. I think Leeds will nick it. I think it'll be close. I think probably within like a 6-pointer. But I think Leeds do it.
Lewis?
I agree with you. I'm going to go Leeds as well. I think Brad Earth have picked up off now. Like you said, he didn't have the chance in his first game. He was only watching. He only had a week with them. I think we'll start to see the side effects of Brad Earth coming into the Leeds setup this week against Huddersfield. Yeah. So I'm going to go Leeds.
Okay.
What are you going with?
I'm going to go Leeds as well.
You're going Leeds as well?
Which isn't really spicing it up, but I think Huddersfield are going to have a drop-off.
Interesting what the listeners are going to go for that one, I think. Huddersfield at home, I know it doesn't do much, they don't get many fans anyway. I know it's a bit of a
I actually think if you're an away team, going to Huddersfield's probably one of the nicest places.
Yeah, that's where you want to go.
That's what I mean. I'm not trying to be nasty.
No, you're right.
There. I think generally it doesn't. Home advantage isn't really a thing.
No.
They don't really. So it'll be interesting to see what the listeners pick that.
Right, Alex, Hull KR London.
I think Hull KR. I think.
Are you sure you don't?
Routine win. And nothing more to say.
If you'd have backed London there, text us right now. Do not go into your predictions as bad as back London against KR.
No, nothing more to say. Okay, I'll definitely win.
Yeah, well, KR.
I win KR.
Yeah.
Lee versus St Helens.
Now, this one is interesting.
One sec, I'm going to put the pressure on you. I'm going Lee. At Lee. Lucy, you going?
I'm just having a look at the other games, and I generally think this is the hardest one to pick from.
It's at Lee. Saints lost 4 in a row.
They can't go 5 in a row, can they, Saints?
They can if they lose.
I don't know, but you know what I mean. I'm just
have
saying,
you
can
think?
they go 5?
Have a minute and think. Alex, who are you going?
Lee are winning it.
Wow!
No,
You're backing against you.
I'm not back.
Alex, there is a rule on this. We always back Wigan no matter who they play. You can't not back your own team.
I have a head and heart scenario, but I genuinely look at the form, look at the context, look at the way we're playing, look at the personnel on the sidelines, all these factors go into Lee. I'd be very, very, very naive to think that we win that game. I don't think we do. I think it's a close game because every game we're in the minute we're in, but I think we lose.
I'll be different. I'll go Saints. That's made it easy for me. I'll just
I hope I'm wrong.
Saints to be different.
I hope I'm wrong.
I'll go Saints.
I have no optimism when it comes to Saints
to win now.
It's a bit of a It's I win both ways here. I either get the prediction wrong or my team finally wins.
No, you don't win either way. Stop being like your brother. Your brother does that. Right, Wigan Warrington.
He does actually, doesn't he? Bets on he don't say it, but bets on the people, so it's just like a win-win. If getting Saints have won, and then if the other team wins, he goes, I've won some money, so I bet against him. Like, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know.
Right, I'm going to go to the Wigan game next. This is also on Friday. Wigan Warrington. I'm going Wigan. I think we're going to bounce back and put a real performance on. Lewis, I take it you're going Wigan.
Yeah, I think we'll look to make a statement after this week just gone. So yeah, I think it'll be Wigan.
Now who knows? Alex might vote Wigan this year or something like that. You don't really care about formality.
I'm just trying to hear a neutral's opinion on this stuff.
No, to be fair, I think I agree with both of you. I think you won't play as bad as you did last week, and I think you'll win.
We beat Wire without Field and French.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. I was interested in the neutral. Think so. Yeah.
Right, Saturday, 2 games. First one's at 3:00. Salford versus Castleford. I know Castleford are flying. I think Salford have to put a statement out here and just quash any of the issues. I think Nicarima is going to be a big add to them, and I'm going to go Salford in a close one.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I think Salford are in a purple patch. I don't think it's a crisis unless they lose this game.
Yes.
So I think Salford win big to avoid the crisis.
Okay.
There's pressure riding on this game.
Yeah, same. Exactly the same analysis as well. I think it's all on this game for Salford, but I think they do it.
Right, and the last one, Catalans Hull FC. I'll go Catalans, and I'll go Catalans convincingly.
Okay.
Because I think that's just took a lot out of Hull FC. And now going over to Catalan, Catalans need to put in a performance. They've not been great. I know they've won games that they probably don't deserve and lost games that they probably should have won. And you look at Catalan's form, they lost to Cas but beat Salford, Hull KR, Huddersfield. Not by a lot. I think they need a statement here, and I think Sam's going to be the guy to bring that.
Yeah, I think Catalans for the same reason. I think obviously this week took a lot out of Hull FC. To go back up again would be extremely difficult. And I think Catalans, not just with Sam coming back, but I think they end a lot of things here. I think they end the 3 people getting terminated with the contracts. I think the whole, bad performance and losing to Castleford. I think it all comes to an end this week. They win and they go, right, we're back on track.
Reset.
Reset. We wipe the slate clean, and then we start preparing now, getting towards October time.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Sorry to be boring, but I think Catalan win comfortably. I think Hull did a lot obviously against you guys. I think it's going to take it out of them, and I think Catalan get back on track.
Just to point out, don't ever say you're boring. You're backed against your own team. That's the worst thing I've ever seen.
If you take your heart out of the scenario and you use your head, I don't think many people will disagree with me.
We do always try and be objective on this podcast, even though Wigan fans, we always do try and...
Look, I'm a St Anne's fan. Views. I've grown up in Wigan. I've got a Wiganer for a wife. I've got a Wiganer for a son, unfortunately. So I'm very used to being objective and maybe not getting carried away with the rose-tinted glasses. Maybe it's just my pessimism.
No excuse.
Do you know what? I know, but I think, Dukes, there's a lot of Saints fans at the minute. Sorry to get back on the Saint. I know we did a lot talking about Saints earlier on, but when they came to our place at DW after losing to Cass, a lot of Saints fans we're going to get battered. I'm not feeling confident at all. I think a lot of Saints fans are losing confidence. I think they are.
I can confirm.
Yeah, they are. We've got one here in front of me. He's telling it's happening.
I get losing confidence, but to be so public about it, I just couldn't back again. Even when you won the 4 in a row, the COVID year and all that stuff, and the 2021 when Lamb's tenure was ending, then we played you in a game at our place. The Mets have only scored 2 points, and I still backed us. I just can't.
Yeah.
If you're asking me who I want to win, I want St Helens to win. Don't let that be any doubt, but I don't think we will.
Right.
On that bombshell.
Yeah. Lewis, thanks as ever for coming on. Alex, it's been a pleasure. Getting a different insight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think it's been a bit of a long time coming. I know I was going to come on a few times last season, but thank you for letting me chat rugby league with two of my mates. Appreciate it.
It's been good. It's been nice to have a neutral, I think, in a way now. Stuff that's been
different
the Wigan Way, but a different eyes set and stuff, giving us an outsider's opinion, I think is very valuable. So thanks a lot, mate.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.